Somebody in this room tonight, you've been living beneath what God has placed inside of you. You've been walking with your head down, thinking you are ordinary, when the truth is, there's extraordinary locked up inside of you. The enemy has tried to convince you that you are broken, that you are too old, too young, too unqualified. But I came here to tell you, the devil is a liar. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are a master piece, fearfully and wonderfully made, with destiny dripping from your DNA. Tonight, we're going to break every chain of limitation, silence every voice of doubt, and awaken the giant that's been sleeping inside of you. Because it's time, oh yes, it's time, for you to discover your true potential and walk boldly, unapologetically in your divine destiny. You are more than what you've been through. So many people define themselves by their scars, their failures, their history, or the trauma of their yesterday. They think that because they've been broken, they are broken. They believe that because they were rejected, they are unworthy. But the truth is, what you went through does not determine who you are. It only reveals the strength God has placed in you. Don't confuse what you experienced with what you are called to become. Your past is a chapter, not the whole book. Your pain is an event, not your identity. What you've endured may have shaped you, but it does not define you. You are not the sum total of your mistakes. You are not the title that people put on you. You are not the nickname that came out of your lowest season. You are more. Somebody here has been living under labels for too long. You've been carrying around the weight of what happened to you like it's a permanent mark on your life. But let me tell you something. God specializes in taking broken pieces and creating masterpieces. What others call damaged, he calls destined. What others saw as weakness, he sees as preparation. You didn't just survive that storm for no reason. You survived because there's still something left inside of you that the world needs. You didn't walk out of that fire empty. You came out refined, stronger, wiser, carrying a testimony that hell itself couldn't silence. If you're still here, it means your story isn't over, and the best part hasn't even been written yet. The enemy loves to whisper lies in the aftermath of pain. He says, you'll never recover, you'll never rise again, you'll always be the same. But the devil is a liar. You were created in the image of God, and that means there's resilience in your spirit, there's greatness in your bones, there's destiny in your design. You've been engineered by the Creator of heaven and earth, and He did not make a mistake when He made you. You may have been through the fire, but you don't look like what you've been through. You may have been in the pit, but you don't smell like the dirt. You may have been chained, but there's freedom on your life that no prison can hold. You are more. Think about it. Joseph was betrayed, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, lied on, and locked in prison. But none of those things canceled his calling. They only positioned him for the palace. Job lost everything in one season, yet God restored him with double. Paul was beaten, shipwrecked, and left for dead, but he still wrote letters that would change the world. And Jesus himself went through betrayal, humiliation, and crucifixion, yet on the third day he rose with all power in his hands. If they are not defined by what they went through, why should you be? You are in good company. You're standing in the lineage of overcomers. You're connected to a God who turns graves into gardens and ashes into beauty. Your testimony is proof that your trials could not destroy you. What you've been through is evidence of what you can handle. And if you've been through that and you're still standing, imagine what you can step into when you finally walk in your full potential. The weight of your history only makes sense when you realize it was building the shoulders you would need to carry your destiny. Your identity is greater than your insecurity. Too many people are living beneath who they really are because they've allowed insecurity to shrink their vision, silence their voice, and sabotage their destiny. Insecurity whispers, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not talented enough. Insecurity magnifies your flaws and minimizes your gifts. It makes you believe that what you lack is more important than what you carry. But the truth is, your identity was established before your insecurity ever showed up. Before you had a title, before you had a position, before you made a mistake, before you went through heartbreak, God had already stamped you with his image, already marked you with his purpose, already called you by name. Insecurity is birthed in comparison. It is the prison you build when you measure yourself against people who were never meant to be your standard. You look at their gifts and start to think yours aren't valuable. You see their progress and assume you're behind, but you don't know the whole story of their struggle. You don't see the nights they cried, the battles they fought, the demons they faced. And even if you did, it wouldn't matter, because you're not running their race, you're running yours. You've got your own lane, your own calling, your own divine assignment. God didn't make you to be a copy, he made you to be a revelation. The world doesn't need another version of them. The world needs the authentic version of you. When insecurity tries to control you, it causes you to live in hiding. Like Adam and Eve covering themselves in the garden, you start to mask who you are because you're afraid of being exposed. But the real danger is not being exposed. It's never being expressed. The world doesn't need your imitation. It needs your authenticity. And until you learn to embrace your God-given identity, you will always live beneath the level of your potential. You'll keep playing small, you'll keep dimming your light, you'll keep shrinking back when God called you to stand tall. Look at Gideon, hiding in the winepress, full of insecurity, calling himself the least in his father's house. But when the angel showed up, he didn't call him by his insecurity, he called him by his identity, mighty man of valor. Because heaven never addresses you based on your fear. Heaven addresses you based on your future. Heaven speaks to the greatness in you, even when you don't see it in yourself. Heaven doesn't speak to your insecurity, it speaks to your identity, and somebody here needs to hear that, because you've been labeling yourself by your weakness, but God is calling you by your strength. You've been identifying with your pain, but he's calling you by your promise. You've been rehearsing what you're not, but heaven is declaring what you are, and what you are is chosen. What you are is royal. What you are is peculiar, set apart, anointed, equipped, and fearfully and wonderfully made. You are the head and not the tail, above and not beneath, blessed in the city and blessed in the field. That's your identity. And no insecurity has the authority to rewrite what God has already written. So the next time insecurity tells you you're not enough, remember, you've already been called, already been chosen, already been marked. Your identity outweighs every doubt, every fear, every shortcoming, every insecurity. Potential is unlocked through pressure, not comfort. The seed does not grow sitting on the surface. It grows when it's buried in the dirt, pressed down and forced to break open. The olive does not release its oil until it's crushed. The diamond does not shine until it's formed under heat and weight. And you will never discover the fullness of what's inside of you until life presses you, until circumstances squeeze you, until trials force out the treasure that comfort could never reveal. We don't like pressure because it's uncomfortable, it's painful, it makes us question if we can survive. But it is under pressure that your potential awakens. It is under pressure that you discover the depth of your faith, the strength of your character, and the magnitude of your calling. Comfort feels safe, but it can become a trap. Comfort convinces you to stay where you are, to settle for good enough, to remain in situations that no longer grow you. Comfort makes you choose the familiar even when God is calling you to the unfamiliar. But you cannot fulfill destiny living in a comfort zone. Growth demands discomfort, and greatness requires resistance. It's the very things that made you cry, the nights that broke you down, the storms that shook your foundation. Those are the things God used to stretch you, to develop you, to prepare you for more. Think about it. David didn't discover he was a giant, killer in the comfort of the pasture. He discovered it when a 9-foot Goliath stood in front of him. Moses didn't realize he was a deliverer while hiding on the backside of the desert. He realized it when God sent him back into Egypt under the pressure of Pharaoh's oppression. Jesus himself, in the Garden of Gethsemane, felt the crushing weight of destiny press him until his sweat became like drops of blood. But that pressure revealed the power of his obedience, the glory of his purpose, the victory of the cross. Without the pressure, the potential would have remained hidden. So when you find yourself in a season of pressure, don't despise it. Don't run from it. Don't curse it. Embrace it as the very environment that God is using to extract what's inside of you. The pressure is not proof of your weakness. It is proof that there's something in you worth pressing. You don't press empty grapes. You only press when you know there's juice. You don't squeeze empty olives. You only crush them when you know there's oil. And the reason life has pressed you so hard is because heaven knows there's something in you that has to be released. The pressure you're feeling is not punishment, it's preparation. It's building endurance, it's birthing creativity, it's producing resilience. When life pushes you to the wall, that's when you discover the wings you never knew you had. When the weight gets heavy, that's when you find the strength that only God could give. When the battle intensifies, that's when your warrior spirit rises up. Comfort will never show you who you are, but pressure will reveal it every time. Some of the greatest blessings in your life will come wrapped in seasons of struggle. Some of your highest callings will only emerge out of your lowest moments. And what looks like the worst kind of pressure may actually be the very thing unlocking the best version of you. Divine destiny requires divine alignment. You cannot walk into the fullness of what God has prepared for you while being out of alignment with His will. Destiny is not just about desire, it's about direction. You can want greatness, you can dream about impact, you can crave purpose, but unless your life lines up with the plan of God, you'll always find yourself frustrated, running in circles, and wondering why doors won't open. Destiny is not unlocked by accident, it is accessed by alignment. When your steps come into agreement with His Word, when your heart aligns with His truth, when your relationships align with His assignment, then the path to your destiny begins to unfold. Alignment means you can't just go anywhere, you can't just do anything, you can't just connect with everyone. Alignment requires discipline, discernment, and sometimes disconnection. Not everyone can go where you're going. Not everything you desire is meant to be attached to your journey. If you want to walk in destiny, you have to be willing to let go of what doesn't align with it. Abraham had to separate from Lot before God showed him the full extent of the promise. Jonah had to leave the wrong ship to fulfill the call on his life. Even Jesus, when he stepped into his assignment, had to say, "Not my will, but thy will be done." Alignment means surrender. It means I lay down my plan to pick up His purpose. And alignment is not just vertical, it's also horizontal. God will place the right people in your life to push you, to sharpen you, to stretch you toward destiny. Ruth aligned with Naomi and found her bows. Elisha aligned with Elijah and received a double portion. The disciples aligned with Jesus and turned the world upside down. Who you are connected to matters because connections carry currents. The wrong alignment can pull you off course, but the right alignment can accelerate your assignment. That's why you can't afford to attach yourself to people who drain your spirit, who distract you from purpose, who diminish your vision. Alignment requires courage to say yes to what pulls you closer to destiny and no to what pulls you away. Destiny is not a solo project. It requires divine partnerships, divine timing, divine positioning. God has a way of arranging circumstances that seem random but are really strategic. He orders your steps. He opens doors you didn't knock on. He orchestrates meetings you couldn't have planned. And when your heart is aligned, you begin to recognize that what looks like coincidence is really confirmation. That moment you were in the right place at the right time, that wasn't luck, that was alignment. That person who came into your life just when you needed encouragement, that wasn't chance, that was alignment. That opportunity that showed up after years of waiting, that wasn't an accident, that was alignment. But here's the key: alignment requires obedience. You can't walk into destiny if you're resisting the instructions of the one who designed it. Sometimes obedience feels costly, sometimes alignment feels uncomfortable, but it is always worth it. Because divine alignment ensures that when the doors open, you'll be ready to walk through them. When the stage is set, you'll be prepared to stand on it. When the blessing comes, you'll be mature enough to carry it. Your future is waiting for your faith to catch up. God has already spoken promises over your life. He has already designed a destiny with your name written on it. He has already prepared blessings, opportunities, and breakthroughs that belong to you. But too often, we are standing in the present, hesitating, doubting, questioning, and delaying, while our future is crying out, saying, "I'm ready for you. When will you step into me?" Faith is the bridge between where you are and where you're called to be. Until your faith rises, your feet will remain stuck. But the moment your faith catches up, doors begin to swing open, mountains begin to move, and what looked impossible suddenly becomes inevitable. Your future does not wait for your feelings. It does not wait for your fears to subside. It waits for your faith to take authority. Feelings change with the wind. Fear magnifies the obstacles, but faith anchors you in what God said. Faith calls things that are not as though they were. Faith believes even when the evidence looks empty. Faith doesn't wait to see it before it shouts. It shouts because it knows it will see it. And until you let faith lead, your destiny will always feel delayed. Think about the children of Israel standing at the edge of the promised land. God had already promised them the land. He had already declared it theirs, but their unbelief kept them wandering in circles for 40 years. The land didn't move, the promise didn't change, the future was waiting, but their faith had to catch up. And when Joshua and Caleb rose with a different spirit, declaring, "We are well able," that was the moment faith caught up and destiny unfolded. Some of you are standing at the border of your breakthrough, but fear is keeping you hostage. You keep saying, "I'm not ready, I'm not qualified, I don't have enough." But God says, "I've already gone before you. I've already made the crooked places straight. I've already prepared the way." Your job is not to figure out how. It's to believe that He will. Your job is not to control the outcome. It's to trust the one who holds the outcome. Your job is not to shrink back in hesitation. It's to step forward in faith, because your future has been waiting on you to move. Faith is not passive. Faith is not just words. It is movement. When Peter saw Jesus walking on the water, he had to step out of the boat. The miracle was already available, but it required a step of faith to activate it. The woman with the issue of blood could have stayed hidden, but she pressed through the crowd because her faith told her, "If I can just touch the hem of his garment, I shall be made whole." The blind man cried out even when people told him to be quiet, because his faith believed that his future was one touch away. Every breakthrough in Scripture required faith to catch up with the future that God had already prepared. And so it is with you. The future version of you is already waiting. The healed you, the successful you, the restored you, the anointed you, the powerful you. It's already alive in the mind of God, but it will not manifest until your faith steps into alignment. Heaven is not waiting to decide. It's already done. It's your faith that must rise to match what God has spoken.